Hey everyone, Angel of Alchemy here today with a new video. I know it's been like 2 weeks. If you want to know what happened to me, I'll leave a little story and summary down in the description below, but I'm not going to bore everyone who doesn't care with that. But anyways, hi, I am back. Sorry, it's been a while. Today I want to do a video for all the new people who are coming into the Yu-Gi-Oh community and or the people who are coming back into the Yu-Gi-Oh community who want to understand links. When I started Yu-Gi-Oh and playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I played for about a month before links hit, which really upset me because I was playing a pendulum deck and then links hit and I was like, what? I can't do anything anymore, and I had to relearn the whole game and the mechanics. It was crazy. But a lot of times I'll see people go, how do I link summon? And people throw rules at them and throw just all this information. I want to try to make this video as easy and as simple. I'm going to teach you how to understand links and link summoning, just little baby steps at a time, like I learned when links were slowly being introduced. We got like one link monster every 3 months. I'm going to teach you the slow, tiny basics that you need to know to educate yourself and learn to take those bigger steps towards the rest of the links, because there are so many link monsters. So I'm going to cut out all the big ones. If you are new to link summoning, do not, and I repeat, do not, just stay completely away from Salamangreat. Don't care about it, don't look at it, don't be interested in it, don't go near it. Salamangreat is a whole little thing in its own world when it comes to link summoning. Every other thing you're good with. So let's get into the basics. Hopefully this will help you. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below and I will try my best to answer them and help you out a little extra, but let's get into it. Alright, so I figured I would start with some of the first link monsters that came out, which were the attributal link monsters. All of these link monsters are really easy to get out. Some of them did come out later after a few other link monsters did, but that's not the point. The point is that these all have basically the same exact effect. They have a really easy summoning requirement, and they're just really simple to follow. These are the ones that I started out using, especially Mrs. Radiant. She is probably my favorite, and I use her the most, especially because I play Madolches. So these simply, like I said, are attributal links. They follow the attribute that is on their card. These are link 2s. You can know that either because it says link 2 down here or because of the number of arrows. It doesn't matter where the arrows are. If there's 2 of them, it's a link 2. 3, it's a link 3, so on and so forth. As you can tell, she is an earth and she requires 2 earth monsters. Greatfly, for instance, wind, requires 2 wind monsters. So they're all very similar, especially in their effect, where their effect is whatever attribute they are, it gives all monsters on the field with that same attribute 500, and then whatever their opposing attribute is, it takes away 400 attack points from them. So Earth's opposing attribute is wind, so if you had Mrs. Radiant on the field, all Earth monsters would gain 500 attack and all Wind monsters would lose 400 attack. Apologies. So they're really simple, and they can be used in basically any deck that you have, which is why I recommend starting with these, is simply just because do you have a deck that has a lot of light monsters, use Hippo Shinigami. A lot of wind monsters like Speedroid, Greatfly. Earth, Madolches, Mrs. Radiant. Mermails, Mistar Boy, basically any deck that has a lot of the similar attributes in it, you can use these cards. So it definitely opens up a wide variety of decks for you to test out how to use link monsters. Really fast,
I'll show you how to summon out a Link monster, because anyone coming into the game may not be familiar with the extra monster zones and how they work. So let me demonstrate this really fast for any of those people out there who aren't necessarily sure where they're supposed to put a Link monster. Alright, for this demonstration I'm going to be getting out Mrs. Radiant, and I'm going to be using Madolches. So let's pretend, for instance, I have a Hootcake on field and a Madeline on field, and just for the sake of emphasizing a little Ash Blossom, right? We'd want her in defense. So Mrs. Radiant says that she needs 2 Earth monsters. So obviously we're not going to be able to get out to use Ash Blossom, so it doesn't matter what level they are, you just need 2 Earth monsters. So we'll tribute away Hootcake and Madeline. We'll send them to the graveyard. And this is where it gets a little confusing. We have 1 extra monster zone. You can see that there's 2 here, but you are only allowed to have 1. So we'll put Mrs. Radiant here for now. The cool thing about Link monsters is that since you only have 1 extra monster zone, let's say we didn't get out a Link monster, instead Ash Blossom is a fusion monster, for instance. And we had a fusion here, that would be the only extra deck monster we were able to get out, because that's our extra monster zone. But with Link monsters, the arrows that they have on them activate other zones so that you can use your extra deck more, and you can put more extra deck monsters in there. So let's say we got out Mrs. Radiant and we fusion summoned or Xyz summoned. We can put our fusion or Xyz monster here or here. So that's basically the whole point of Links, is that now, since we only have 1 extra monster zone where we can put our extra deck monsters in, this card opens up other zones that we can use more of our extra deck in than just having 1 spot. I hope that wasn't too confusing for anyone. Like I mentioned before, if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them in the comments down below. Some other really easy, simple Link monsters that you can find and start using almost immediately and learn how to use them are Lanfarincus and Link Spider. Link Spider is a Link 1, as you can tell by his 1 Link arrow, and it says Link 1 down here. And he only takes 1 normal monster. His effect is once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 4 normal monster from your hand to a zone this card points to. But just for the sake of opening up extra monster zones so that you can use more of your extra deck, Link Spider is really simple to get out. It just takes 1 normal monster, and he's a really basic Link monster, so that you don't have to confuse yourself with so many rules, so many effects. You can just learn how to slowly Link summon until you're comfortable enough with it. Lanfarincus only uses 2 monsters, so any 2 monsters as long as it's 2 monsters. Alright, now I'm going to talk about something else that you need to know that I didn't learn for quite a while. And we're going to use Deco Talker because he's another pretty simple and easy to understand Link monster. However, I do suggest if you're going to start using him after you get more comfortable with the attributable Link monsters, and then you can start focusing on Link monsters effects and stuff like that. More focus on how to get them out and how to use their Link arrows to open more monster zones before you start looking into Link monsters that have effects, because that can get confusing. But as you can tell, Deco Talker has 3 Link arrows and is a Link 3. And it takes 2 plus effect monsters, so your monsters that you use for him must have effects. But here's where it gets a little confusing, and I'm sorry if this is going way too fast for you. But let's get out Link monster. Let's get out Link Spider and Lanfarincus for this one. So as I mentioned before, Deco Talker is a Link 3 and has 3 arrows. So to prevent people from being able to go, I'm going to tribute away Decode Talker for another Decode Talker, they have a rule that says that your link monsters can be tributed away for other link monsters. However, they either count as the number of arrows that they have on them or as 1. And what I mean by that is Decode Talker says 2 plus effect monsters, but that does not mean you only use 2 monsters to get them out. You have to have 3 materials to get him out, or if you have a link 2 on the field, this card can count as 2 materials or only 1 material. So you can, let's say, for instance, let's say that we have Mrs. Radiant and Ash Blossom on the field, and I want to get out a bigger link monster. So Mrs. Radiant, since she has 2 arrows, can count as 2 materials or only 1 material. And I think I'm going to use her as 2 materials, and then our 3rd material would be Ash Blossom, and that's how I'd get out Decode Talker. And he has to go into the extra monster zone, unless there is an extra monster zone down here already opened up by another link monster. In which case, if we were able to keep Mrs. Radiant on the field, and I used 3 monsters to get out Decode Talker, I can put him in an activated spot. Once again, I'm really sorry if this is super confusing. In my head I was like, this is going to be super simple, it's going to be really easy, but the truth is link summoning is not really easy, and it does take a lot of time to really process everything step by step. Doing it all in one video is throwing just so much information at you, which is why I suggest starting off with the attributable monsters, simply tributing away 2 cards and getting them out, and once you get comfortable with that, start taking more steps into bigger link monsters. So for instance, Decode Talker can count as 3 link materials or 1 link material. Land Frankus is 2 link materials or 1 link material, and Link Spider is only 1 link material. So the number of arrows on the cards are important. If you have a link 4, it would count as 4 link materials or 1 link material. It can't count as anything between. All link materials for the most part say 2 plus monsters on them. It doesn't mean that you can use only 2 monsters, and that's what really confused me when I was starting. It means that you can use a link monster that counts as a certain number of link materials and 1 other card, which is why it says 2 plus. So if Land Frankus was an effect monster, he could count as 2 materials altogether, and then we had our Ash Blossom on the field. Altogether that's 3 materials, but it's still technically only 2 cards, 2 plus monsters, and that's what gets really confusing. So if you have any questions about that, please be sure to ask. Anyways, I personally think this was so much information to take in, and I really hope that I was able to say it in a way that wasn't super confusing, but even I feel like I confused you, so I'm so sorry if I did. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Start off with the really simple monsters, such as Land Frankus or one of the attributable monsters, where you only need 1 or 2 monsters to tribute them away and to get them out. Just remember that they have to go in the extra monster zone. That is the only activated zone that you can put your extra deck monsters in until you have a link monster that points down to one of the other zones. And yeah, like I said, I really hope this helped. Keep building, keep playing, keep discussing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!